Alright, well, today's the next beginning of this saga. We're going to start breaking part of this down. I decided I'm going to pull the overarm assembly off because I want to pull the table off so that I can access everything underneath it and clean it up. Now, beyond the overarm pulling the table and whatever is associated with that right in this area, unless I run into some other issues, I'm not going to break down any more than that at this point in time. But we're going to go to that point at least. So I thought I might as well start doing it out here before I get it into the shop, so any crap and dirt and stuff that needs to get cleaned up, hopefully we can get most of it cleaned up out here and keep the insides of the shop a little bit cleaner, which is kind of a funny thing for me to say, as dirty as my shop is. But nonetheless, that's what we're going to do. So today I'm going to start breaking down the clapper assembly, clapper box, and this feet assembly, depending on how far down we can go. And of course this was not really anticipated at this point in time, but I don't think I can get the actual cross slide assembly off with it in this position. I think it has to slide off that end, and I don't have room to get it off of there at this point in time. So I'm going to break down the clapper box and the stuff as much as I can right here, and then we'll probably have to pull the overarm assembly up and off. So anyway, we're just going to get started on it, start breaking it down and see how far we can get. So enjoy the show here, guys. Okay, if we do that, just trying to figure out the best way to break this all down. I need a wrench. Oop. Okay, let's bring that to the upright position for right now. Let's pull. I think we'll use our phone to take a few pictures here just so we've got a reference. Okay, so 1 1/16 seems to be the standard here for a lot of these. There we go. tapered pin so you can adjust your tension. You keep the lens, the crap cleaned off of your lens, it kind of focuses and you can see what you're doing. A little tip there for those that don't know. Now we may have to come up with a regular drag link of some sort to, oh no we don't. Well, I'm surprised. Okay. You can see the planer marks down inside. I don't know how well that shows up. Pretty amazing. Okay. Pretty amazing. Okay. Now you got a lock on there. So we're going to have a nut that engages in the back of this. And I'm not sure exactly how that all locks in. Now I would imagine I'm going to have to take the slide assembly apart to get to the back end. I would think. Well, maybe not. I would think that we've got some sort of a locking mechanism that goes behind to engage into the bevel gears for this feed. See, it looks like we've got a tapered gib here. Yeah, it doesn't release off of there. So I think we're going to have to pull this slide assembly off and get it all out of here. Let's see if we can, maybe we'll tighten it down right here. Just to hold in position while we finish disassembling it. Well. Yeah, we're going to disassemble it anyway. Let's go ahead and pull this slide assembly apart here. We'll just block this up. So I think, let's go ahead and loosen our gib back here. Well, it doesn't want to slide out of there. Maybe it does slide right off. Okay. on the back that's going to affect our feed. If that's on there like that, okay. I've come to the conclusion none of these assemblies are light. It's not going to be long. We're going to have to get out the engine hoist. Interesting the way these interlock and the way they've got to come together. Now we've got two studs coming out here that they must be pressed in from the back, but you can't operate your, you can operate the lock, but you can't disassemble the lock. Huh. Okay. Well, another piece of the puzzle. We'll leave those bolts in there for right now until we get this stuff sorted out. So, I think I would like to break this on down a little bit more. Gibbs screw, there's our two captive nuts for the top, and there's our 4 pivot bolts, or nuts. So if I were to grab a couple of small 2x4s, there we go. Now, oh, looks like we've got another Gibbs screw on this end maybe. How did they have this? Now I will bet this locks in from both ends. So I've got the short one on the bottom and the long one on the top. We know we would never forget that after having it apart for a month, would we? Now it almost appears to me let's get a little brass punch. Oh yeah. Okay, we got a tapered gib. It's got adjustments on both ends so you can lock it in position. Ingenious, these Americans. I don't believe there's anything else that should be holding that on there. There we go. So if we pull that off of there, just like that. Ah, beautiful. It's got the 2 studs that go in from the back, and there's 2 screws that lock it in place. Got a little staining back there, but it almost looks like that's part of the flaking on it. And on this part, we've got a bevel gear going on here that runs both the bevel gears. It runs the bevel gear out the back, and this locks the assembly to the saddle, locks our sliding assembly to the saddle there. So it's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. So what I think I want to do let me think about what I want to do here. How far down I want to break this today, or what exactly path I want to take. Okay, before the sun gets too bright down here, let's kind of wrap this up for the day. Found several little interesting things, and I've developed a plan. So I kind of had the plan before, but I've kind of figured out exactly how I want to pursue it now. My intent has always been to pull the clapper box and that assembly off. We're going to call it the compound and all of that. Probably to pull the overarm, well, definitely to pull the overarm assembly off and rework it. Just clean it up is all when I say rework, I'm not rebuilding anything unless I just come across something. I'm not worrying about scraping. I'm not worrying about anything. I'm just cleaning the old crap off and freshening it up because I think it's in very good condition. Knock on metal. So, and my intent is to pull the table off. So, and I've already shared all that with you. So, now that we've got the clapper box assembly and the compound and everything off, I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning them up, and what I can run through my little 5-gallon electrolysis cleaner that I've used before, I'm going to run through there. I've got a plastic 55-gallon drum that I just filled with some water to make sure it's going to hold some water, and it looks like it's going to be fine. It's going to be converted into a bigger tank. I'm going to cut the top out of it, and we'll do whether it's a rebar internal cage in it, or if we get some flat bar or something, something that's going to work anyway. But that's going to handle the bigger parts like the slide, like the compound assembly, probably this assembly, probably 90% of what I want to clean up. So that'll happen in the next few days. I'll probably shoot a little video of welding that cage up and get it going. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, that's where I'm going with this right now. And I've got to pick paint color because we're going to start painting these parts up, and then we'll tuck them away. And then once we get all of those assemblies off, I can go ahead, I'm going to clean up the base. When we get ready to roll it inside, I'll go ahead and finish cleaning it up and prep it for paint then. And, have the sump all cleaned out and that. And then when we roll it in, hopefully we can repaint it, refill the sump, and make sure we've got everything freshened up, and then reassemble the table and probably the overarm support once it's in and sitting in where it's going to go. So that's always been the basic plan, and we're going to stick pretty much with that. Now, the thing that amazes me is the thought that went into these older machines. And if you can't tell, if you hadn't noticed already, I really like these older machines. I think they're cool. I like new technology too and everything. But stuff like this just amazes me, and it continues to amaze me. As I've been looking at this machine and planning out how I was going to disassemble it, I knew I wanted to take the overarm off. And when I do prep this for paint and everything, the main column's going to stay there. I have no intention of splitting the halves or pulling that apart. Any smaller assemblies that need to come off, and I may get into some access panels or some covers to the gearboxes and stuff like that. We'll just see what needs to be. I just want to understand exactly how it oils and how everything works. But my intent's always been to pull this overarm. And one other little thing here as we're looking right here. And I should expect to see it, but it was kind of surprised me when I just now cleaned it up. This is graduated all the way around, and we've got all our letters, our degrees for angle are stamped in there. There's the index marks on there and everything, and it's a beautiful job. It's very nicely done, and that's the kind of craftsmanship that a lot of times we'll find in these older machines. And the stuff I'm finding on this machine, I'm amazed by, and it's not because it's my machine or anything. It's just this is the thought processes and the things they practiced when they built machines like this back in that era. This machine's probably from the 50s, and it's designed as an industrial machine to do heavy-duty work. It's 9,000 pounds worth of cast iron and everything, but the fit and finish on it and the thought that went into assembling it is absolutely amazing. And the graduations are one example. But one of the things that I was really contemplating, and let me raise this up a little bit more so we can see the top of this machine a little better. And the sun's getting out here, so it's getting hard to see, but I wanted to get this while it was fresh in my mind. The way Well, and one of the other things on the compound, we've got a tapered gib, like I said when I pulled it off. Well, on a tapered gib that you'd see like on my mill drill, it's a tapered gib like this, and it's got a screw that goes in from one side and adjusts your gib clearances. Well, this one's got screws on both ends, so you lock it in position. Another thing on adjustments, our gib assembly through this part is a tapered gib too, but instead of having a tapered gib and a screw to adjust it like this would, or having 3 or 4 adjustment screws on the top, they've taken the time and they've got a tapered gib that runs through this way. It comes up here, and hopefully I can zoom in enough on that you can see it when I edit this. But then there's an adjustment screw with looks like a bolt and a lock nut, so it threads in there, and you adjust it by that. So you can almost adjust it on the fly type of thing with basically micrometer accuracy, not quite that, but I mean that's the theory behind it. To me, that's amazing. There was a lot of thought that went into that. So anyway, to pull the overarm, my thinking was, and I think conventional thinking would be, that you're going to pull the gib out of there, and you're going to have to either put it under an A-frame, have an engine hoist that will go that high, something like that. You're going to raise it up with that being supported. You're going to pull this top cap off, which I'm sure contains the 2 gears to raise and lower the overarm, and you're going to have to pull that assembly out. Then you're actually going to have to pull this top cap off of which covers the whole top of this upper casting, and then you're going to lift it up off of there. Well, that's not the way they designed it at all, and it wasn't real apparent to me at first how they had set up the gib adjustments on this for the overarm either. Well, what they've done is, and it's a dovetail gib, we've got them on, it's dovetail ways on both sides like a standard dovetail would be, just like is on the compound. What they've done is our dovetail engages on this side, and there's nothing that supports it on the back side, and I haven't shown that real well. There's a bolt from the outside. It's got a 2-inch head on it, because I had it loosened up yesterday. Runs all the way through the upper casting and locks into, looks like a nut that they've added, or a insert that they've added that's threaded on the other side of the casting. So you loosen that, and there's no other adjustment forward or back as far as a gib or anything to hold it in alignment. It just bolts straight on through and holds it tight against this surface over here. But you still got a gib on the front, and the only thing I saw was 2 bolts, 1 bolt top and 1 bolt bottom. So I'm thinking, well, that locks it in, but I'm looking for, and it's just a dovetail gib that's in there, or holder, and there's no real adjustment wear on there because you're manually raising and lowering it. Well, what they've done is, instead of having, like this side's got your dovetail that comes in and back in, what they've done is they've just come clear out to here and squared this main casting off here, and the gib adjustment is kind of it's a 4-sided thing, but 3 of the sides are square, and then the one that fits in the dovetail is your offset. So, and your adjustment is taken up by space in between, so when you tighten these bolts or loosen it, that loosens or tightens where your gib adjustment is. So to remove it, of course, you've got to undo the elevator shaft here, which I think is just one taper pin down in the bottom of this shaft here. I think once that's removed, I think it'll pull out of the universal joint and just slide all the way up and out. And there's a gear in here. I'm sure that, well, there's got to be a gear in there that runs it. But anyway, once that's out of there, I'm assuming we're going to lower the overarm all the way down to the table. I'm going to loosen those 2, or I'm going to take out those 2 adjustment bolts. The whole gib assembly is going to slide out. I'm going to loosen that bolt, and the whole thing's going to just slide out this way from the machine, so you don't have to lift it up at all. It's elegant in its simplicity. It's not the way I would have thought that it would have been put together. But anyway, those are just the little things that I see that really impress me about this. And I find this on a lot of older machines. It doesn't matter from what era. The older stuff has I think, more common sense engineering than we have now. We're more concerned about the most economical way to produce something that's going to last for a year and then be gone, whether it's you know, just a consumable good or whether it's machinery. You know, they're not built to the same standards as the older equipment was. I don't believe anyway. So just different, but these are the things that impress me. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead, start cleaning some of the stuff that I've already got off up a little bit. We'll throw some of it in the little rust removal tank and see if we can't clean them up a little bit. Alright, well, we've had a few nuts and bolts cooking away here in the little electrolytic cleaner. Let me unplug the charger. Okay, part of these have been in here for, probably about 3 hours, and some of them I put in here about an hour ago. Let's see, I think this one has been in about an hour. This was just the nut and the taper pin that hold the clapper in place, and it didn't have a whole lot of anything on it. So, and these are blocks that were on the clapper box. I had them in for a couple hours yesterday, and they were pretty well cleaned up. I thought it might take off a little more staining this morning by putting them in here, but they're just a raw steel spacer block, both of them. They did clean up a whole lot better than what they were. You know, if you remember why, they were pretty nasty looking. And then the last one are all the nuts that go on the clapper box and the pivot pin for it, that type of thing. And they were pretty well cleaned up again yesterday too. They had just a little bit of light surface rust. So today I'm trying to get a little more work done on the planer. I've already finished a couple of little projects, but we're going to try and get some work done on the planer, and I'm going to get the motors set back in the rack for the phase converters. That way they're a little more compact and I can get them out of the way without worrying about losing nuts and bolts. So anyway, we're just going to proceed. Hopefully you found this a little bit interesting, and if you haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button, and any comments or suggestions, leave them in the comments section for me below. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.